There was a family, a lady that got impacted by the hurricane, and you guys actually went in and redid her entire home.
The time that we were helping her was also probably financially the worst time for me too, where the company's hemorrhaging cash and, my line of credit's running up and I'm borrowing money to make payroll. To overextend myself and help her. And I also had another family, I was helping them remodel their home as well.
Today I'm joined by a dear friend of mine, James Lutich, who owns One Green Filters, water filtration. Let me get that right. Water filtration and filters. But you also he does plumbing and a bunch of other things that are all around the home, purification and things to that nature. Some of the great things about James is the fact that not only is he a young entrepreneur, I'm going to get this part right. He graduated from the Chamber of Commerce Entrepreneurial Academy at the age of 17. He was still in high school when he graduated the academy, when my understanding is most of the people that were in the academy at the time were well into their 40s. So a true entrepreneur, a true business owner at a very, very young age. He's also now gotten entrees with his business into companies like Lowe's. He's into the government contracting as well through his entire water filtration company. So today I am so honored and blessed to have James Lutich. So thanks for joining me today. It's great to have you.
Man, Darin, you make me sound so good.
It's easy. You got it. You started so well.
You just got to come with me everywhere.
Happy to do so.
Every room I go into.
Yeah. No.
So nice.
Loved. Hey, anytime that invitation's there, I'm happy to join you. You started the company in 2017.
Yeah.
So you kind of talk about it being a family-run business.
Yeah, totally. So, I'm third generation in the water filtration business. So my grandfather and my dad originally started a company, 35, 40 years ago at this point, and they would manufacture all sorts of water filtration products.
Right.
And I was worked there manufacturing carbon blocks.
Really?
Growing up, yeah. So I would be 12 years old working on the assembly line, wrapping and capping, gluing blocks in the summer. And this is really where I realized rather quickly I want to own a business, not, work within a business and have, on an assembly line. And, doing the minimum wasn't enough for me.
Right.
People would see messes and not do anything about it. I would, clean the floors, whatever it would take. I just couldn't walk by a mess. And I feel like that's what separated me from just everybody else, even though we were being paid the same.
So really, what age did that start for you? Where did that start?
Really, I feel like attention to detail has always been just a big root of mine. Like I've always just really, sought out the details and things, and really wanted to make sure that I just always took a lot of pride in whatever I've done.
Right.
So if I was a part of something, I want to give it my all.
Well, that's one thing I've noticed about you, that not only the detail, you're one of those guys that actually was on the trucks for the longest time and actually doing the work. You were the first one off kind of your property and the last one back in at the end of the day. It's always great to see, not only can you teach others and do that type of thing, because one of the things I do understand about One Green is that you're more about the education of why water filtration, the importance of it. So help me understand that a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of, different, there's a lot of misinformation around water filtration. Some companies that may try to overcharge you, or some that may not be steering you the right direction. So we always put education first, so our customers are fully educated on what they're getting,
right,
so they don't accidentally make a purchase and not really get exactly what they wanted, and then they regret it, and then all that does is create more distrust, so it hurts the next person. So we really try to set the standard of being the best water filtration company. So if we come into your home, you're gonna get honesty, fair value, so it creates just a great experience. So they continue to spread the referral network.
So and I'm blessed that I already have a system in my home. So, and I have the one at the sink, so I've got both going. But for the average consumer that doesn't have it today, what are the signs? What are the things that I should be looking for to say, hey, I should consider this?
Yeah, a lot of people, maybe not realize it because they deal with it every day, but they can start noticing some things like some wear and tear on their appliances. The dishes are coming out spotting. The shower heads are slowing down water pressure, and they start clogging up. Especially people with rain heads, and they say, I've noticed like half the pressure's not even
Different
coming
directions.
out. Yeah, it's shooting all over the place because it has so much calcium clogged up in every little pore, and those are some, definitely telltales that you have some hard water.
Right.
Need to get that out. And sometimes people's water heaters too constantly go bad every 3 to 5 years, and they're just not quite sure, why they're having to replace this all the time. And a lot of it's because of the water quality.
Now, we're in Florida. So is our area worse than others, or?
Yeah, especially with Florida right now, and actually the drastic drought we've been in, the water table is some of the lowest it's ever been when it comes to the aquifers, and that's primarily where we get most of our drinking water from.
Right.
So when it sits there on the bottom of that, all that Florida lime scale that we rest on, it just picks up so much hardness. So people are noticing the water's harder now in this area than ever before.
Yeah, I mean, even we've just bought a new condo, and the ring around the toilet.
Yeah, brown looking, a lot of sediment in the water, sand, silt, and dirt by the beaches is very common.
Yeah. So it's I mean, to me, it's like, okay, now that was my like, oh, I need to talk to James.
Yeah. A lot of times people, their skin and hair after a shower, a lot of people's eyes are irritated or their skin's itchy. That's a big indicator because the chlorine is in such a high level that it really bothers people's skin. And
so to help me understand that, so when you're saying that the chlorine, so when it's piped through the city or however the water comes to you, then they're adding the chlorine or other chemicals into it?
Yeah, you have to add the chemicals to make it micrologically safe. So it should kill most bacteria and viruses. So that's good, but a lot of times it just neutralizes those things, but it's still in the water, just not harmful.
Right.
So by now having like a sort of carbon filter to remove those chemicals and those dead parasites out of the water is, typically the best move.
Wow. Okay.
Opposed to kind of showering in it. And
yeah, because you're bathing to get clean, not to get chemicals on.
Yeah. And as for chemicals, right? You want the chemicals out, right? Wash that away.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's why a whole home purification is most popular for us. People would rather treat all the water coming into their home.
When you go out and you do this education, what's the biggest problem you're trying to solve?
The biggest problem that we're trying to solve is probably a combination of removing all the hard water so they get the maximum life out of their appliances,
right,
the longevity of their plumbing, and then also to give them the healthiest water for their family. So a lot of people are concerned that there may be, harmful things in the water. So you want to make sure that all the microplastics, or 98% of them, are taken out of the water, so they can be certain that the water's safe.
Well, and that's a big thing too right now, right, with the microplastics, because now people are talking about how we're ingesting that. So whether you're showering in it or you're drinking the water that's coming out, or you're boiling your food or anything like that, those microplastics still exist, which means we're ingesting them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we want to eliminate it as much as wherever you can.
Right.
So wherever you can be more sustainable and use reusable things like glass. Glassware is the best thing to store your water in.
Okay. What other little hacks are like that for making a better, cleaner living?
Yeah, I think it really does start with the water quality, because people think about, where does the most amount of, chemicals come in their home, and it's actually the detergents that they use, the body washes that you use, the different types of cleaning products that come into the home is really where a lot of the chemicals are added.
Right.
And the reason that these companies like Procter & Gamble have to add all these different additives and phosphates, dyes in here is to make the product look more attractive, for one, and then also to make it work better.
Right.
Because they're combating all of the hard water. And if you bought shampoo and it didn't lather very well, you probably wouldn't be too happy, right? You're like, oh, this product's terrible, I need to go back and return it.
Right.
So they have to add all these additives to make an artificial, soft water to make all the bubbles and the lather. So it really starts with the water, because you can't switch to natural products until you have soft water.
I never put that as the cause and effect of why, because you've always heard the chemical companies, the cleaning companies, and that are creating the laundry soaps and things like that, that they're adding, there's more additives, there's more
Proud of it.
Yeah, and they're very proud of it, and they're getting in front of it saying it. But it's because of the fact that you've got hard water in your house that makes them put more of it in there. So it's the battle that's there, which really, I would think, negatively impacts our clothing and the things that we wear.
I definitely, it's harder on your clothes, and a lot of that stuff, different types of fragrances, your body does absorb, through its skin, and it has to process through your kidneys and your liver and your body. So by eliminating all these different dyes and additives, you can definitely create a much healthier home.
Wow.
But most people are kind of resistant to going to natural products because they've tried them maybe and they haven't seen good results. Maybe the clothes still smell bad, or maybe it's something that didn't work right. And it's because of the water quality. Soap can't lather in hard water. So if you just use pure soap, you're not going to get good results unless you have a softener type system.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I've noticed that sometimes, like if you have like flowers or something in the water dish for a couple of days, the water starts turning milky. Now I understand part of that is because of the plant itself, but it's like the water gets smelly, which shouldn't really happen. So I guess
It sounds like you're using some tap water.
Exactly.
Darin, kill your flowers. Yeah.
I try not to. So help me understand, how did this become a mission for you? I mean, I understand you're third generation, but your brother, on the other hand, went into the construction world. But for you, why was this such a passion for you?
I was always fascinated by the filtration, where so you could have something bad coming into it and then it's better on the way out. And I was just growing up in Clearwater, being around the water and seeing the impact that single-use plastic has had. You see it all the time, water bottles in the ocean, nothing worse than you actually do see, marine life being damaged by plastic. And definitely touched my heart, and that's always been a big mission of mine. Growing up, we always had filtered water, so we never had to buy plastic water bottles. And plastic water bottles seem to be so popular, and it's a much bigger industry than the water filtration business. It's like 10 times the size because everybody goes after convenience, but they don't realize the impact that it's having on the environment.
Right.
Every single plastic water bottle, every single little Zephyr Hills that gets half drunk, right? And then they set it down to throw it out, ends up in the landfill for over 1,000 years. Like and then it breaks down into microplastics, and then we're kind of right back where we started.
Right.
So that's always been a big mission of mine, is to help eliminate, single-use plastic waste, and help, and be proud of something.
Right. And so kind of going down that path, I noticed that, from your bands, and you've had, a lot of people on your bands for years, and now you've transitioned your logo to kind of follow that eco-friendly, right? Because now you have Phil the Turtle. That's out there.
Yeah, when you first start out in business, you kind of try all these different things. So, throwing on their business partners' daughters, or, different things that you might think is a good idea. And now we've really shifted our brand to be more attractive to younger families, which is more of our audience. And now we have Phil the Turtle, who's riding the surfboard. Right. Try to get something that, when people are driving by, they stop and like, why is this turtle on a surfboard? And something a little bit disruptive. Right. Trying to get people to Google the company. And it's been a huge success. People say now all the time when I go places and they hear, oh, you're One Green Filter. I see your trucks all the time with the turtle on it. It's something that's memorable. Right. That makes us stick out.
But it's more than just a logo. It's more than just a turtle. What does that really mean for you as far as the eco side of it?
Yeah, what that speaks for me is that, a big part of, the reason why we're doing this is to contribute and help, protect marine life, here in Clearwater, sponsoring different organizations, and, being a part of, a bigger mission,
right. So in the early, let's kind of go back a little bit into One Green itself. And you had, for years, you started this business in 2017. Mm-hmm. And so take us back a little bit. What was it like when you first started, and what are some of the steps that have gotten you to where you are today?
So, when I started, I was just full of so much excitement and energy. I would just chase anything and everything down. You could just put something in front of me, and I just would do whatever I could to try to accomplish that. And my kind of tactic then was just kind of spray and pray, and I just, try, someone give me an idea, I would chase that down. And, if I came and talked to you, maybe I'll get a different idea and I'll go chase that down.
Right.
And would never get anything, I'd never see a project to completion. And that's really shown that it was hard to make growth. It was hard to build on top of a broken foundation.
Right.
So, now more of our approach is, get one thing done. That day, even if it's just one thing, get that one thing done that's going to move the needle forward. And until that's done, everything else is like you got the horse blinders on, and we just focus on getting that one project done and successful up and running before it get distracted. And that's been a huge help, just that mind shift.
And when did that happen? I mean, so you started out, now your business is almost 10 years old. So it's difficult.
I'm a slow learner.
It's a constant learning as a business owner, right? You're just constantly learning. So that switch, when did that come? When did that, like, I got to get one thing, I stop chasing, start saying no. When did that come for you?
It's taken a lot of guidance. I feel like, we had, brought on some new consultants to help us out on a strategic level to kind of give me some guidance. I think the best thing you can do if you're a young entrepreneur is align yourselves with entrepreneurs who are where you want to be. They built and sold successful businesses, and being able to talk to people like that on a day-to-day basis has really helped my growth. So I would say every day I'm learning, but about 6 months ago we've made a big shift with the company, and now we're flying to our goals and getting a lot further.
So as a business owner, what, like, lay out, give me a few of your goals. What are some of your goals for One Green?
So One Green Filter, we have a phenomenal partnership with Lowe's Home Improvement, where we're their designated choice for water filtration. So if you go to the one on 22nd and request help with a water filtration system, they're going to put you in touch with us. So it's such a high honor. So a big initiative of us is that's our number one focus, is to get program manager in that store and hire people to help generate interest and desire for water filtration with the incoming people that come into the store.
So I mean, you're talking about a major change. So how did something like that come about?
That was something that was really fortunate. So we were a part of a manufacturing group that was given the opportunity to go into Lowe's and help support this program that they were putting on.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a really high honor that we were picked to be a part of that. They could have chosen. There's a lot of companies that don't do exactly what we do, but we're in the same industry as them, and it's such a high honor that they picked us.
Wow. Okay.
So a huge growth for us is partnering up with Lowe's.
So you've done that, and then you've also then gone into government contracting.
Yeah. So another thing is municipality work. So doing water fountains and having a filter inside there that removes lead and microplastics is a big deal to the local municipalities here in Florida. So we were fortunate enough to put out a lot of filters there every single year that we go and maintain it. So has those ongoing municipality contracts where we get to actually do the maintenance for them long term and
that's nice.
Have that. So that's been a huge win as well, and that's something that we're trying to grow as well too.
And because you're in a lot of the schools now, right?
We are. So One Green Filter is in every single water fountain in Hillsborough County Schools. So we have a One Green Filter there, taking out lead, chlorine, microplastics. So all the kids that are going to Hillsborough and all the faculty there all have safe water. So they take it really serious. Those teachers, they want to know.
Do they really?
Yeah, they want to make sure that water is good.
That's interesting. I love that. I think that's so. As we kind of started with the being green and healthier and things like that, if we have a clean body, we have a clean mind.
100%. Yeah. That's exactly right. The students there need access to clean water so they can learn and develop and grow.
Yeah. So kind of staying with that education again, you've kind of coupled a few things, because one of the things you've talked about before was that your business is about educating your customer. And then in addition to that, now you're in the school systems. So do you envision kind of educating some of the students and the kids, or?
Yeah, a big thing that we want to start doing with the PTA groups is sponsoring them and having maybe like somebody dressed up in the turtle and go there and put on some sort of fun water education for the kids,
and showing them how to test it and what it
how
looks
to
like.
Test it, how to be aware. I think it's something small, but imagine if every student, picked up one piece of trash, right? And everyone helped, pick up around the school. It'd be less for the janitors to do there.
Right.
And then the students would take more pride and respect for the school, so going in there and teaching the kids, how to be more, conscious of their waste,
Wow. Okay.
So it'd be something I definitely want to do.
That's great. So, and you're taking that and now you're building a new shop.
Yeah.
So expanding from where you are to now to this new shop. And within that, you're going to do the same thing, right? You said you're going to start.
Yeah, so we had built out a training center over there. So I think a great thing about One Green Filters, it creates a lot of new career opportunities for people. So a big part of our hiring initiative is hiring people. We hire for attitude, right? We can train for the skill. So we put together a training center there so someone can come to us who doesn't have water filtration experience and be on their way to a 6-figure potential income.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, we teach them how to do the installs. We teach them how to maintain the equipment, and ultimately, those two things don't come without sales, right? So we are a sales-centric company. Everybody has the ability to sell here, and that's a big part of what we teach.
So that's a different mindset too, because many companies will have like their technicians, their IT department, their bookkeeping.
It's very siloed,
right? So, but when you and I were talking off camera before, you had mentioned that every one of your employees have the opportunity to generate revenue and participate. So help me understand that a little.
I think when that's kind of the approach that we've came up with, because when you're a really, really small business, payroll is so important. It's kind of one of the biggest parts of the P&L. And we come from a belief that everybody should be a revenue producing employee. So at our size, we've made it available where everybody can increase their income by selling, their friends, family, neighbors, and, actually, be able to represent the company as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So along those lines, what would you say is, if you look at your business as a whole, what is the biggest asset for your business?
As in asset for us, like what's our biggest asset?
Well, as you as the business owner, when you look at it, what is your biggest asset?
The biggest asset for us is definitely going to be our technicians, our team. They're the guys that actually go out and do the selling, right? Do the installing, and maintaining our customer base. So they're the front line of the business. Without them, there wouldn't be a business. I'd have to do every install and everything. I'd be the company, right? So
and you were for
I was for years. I've done that, and I'm always everybody knows I'm willing to jump into the seat and do their job. So everybody knows that. Everybody knows I'll jump in and do the installs and sell. So everyone needs to have a good attitude and get after it, because I'll come and do your job. So
and how do you think that has helped your culture as far as your business culture and your team?
I think leading from the front is huge. It shows guys that leadership's willing to do whatever it takes, that no job's above me, If the toilet needs to be, the piss needs to be wiped off the toilet seat, I'll do it. I'm not, I didn't pee on it. Doesn't matter, I'll still clean it. I even do that in public restaurants because I don't want the person after me thinking that I left a mess there. So I think that accountability, the guys see me, taking the trash out, cleaning the floors, doing whatever it takes, that they're, realizing that maybe they should be doing that.
So you're leading by example, which is
leading by example is, I think, the only way to really have a team that respects you, and
And your team has evolved over the years. Yes.
Definitely. I used to, I'm such a giving person. I used to give a lot more than I expected back. And then now, we really want the team to be responsible, take on ownership.
And how has that mindset changed from when you first started the business to where you are today? When you're looking at, let's face it, trying to find the right person is so challenging at times. So what are some of the things that you look for that maybe you didn't look for before?
That's a great question. So before, I think the biggest thing to start with is just the mindset. I was so serving. I was selling them on the job and why they should come work here. And we have a great company. We have a great reputation. We provide things here you can't or normally won't get at another organization. There's so many opportunities to increase your pay with no ceiling. And it was really just a mind shift from being like the employer and showing them that it is a great opportunity here. And if you want to come work, it's setting the expectations in the front end, that we're not willing, that we need people that show up on time, that show up in the uniform and have a great attitude. So I think the biggest thing was kind of just setting expectations, was the biggest shift of before I was selling them on the job, not setting expectations, hoping they would come work with me.
Right.
And now it's almost like I'm convincing them not to take the job because, we just have such high standards and, this is what we expect and really want them to elevate and grow. And just some people aren't willing to go there.
Right.
And just politely decline the job. And it's like, great, that's perfect. I'm glad we got that out before you joined the team.
Right.
So I say that's the biggest thing is it's making such a great pay plan that you should attract talented people and then hold them to a super high standard.
Has that worked for you or against you at times?
It does work against you at times because, again, there's some people that might not be honest with themselves in the beginning that maybe that's not their type of personality or they're just not willing to do that.
Right.
And it ends up just costing a lot of time, energy, and effort investing into this person who ends up just leaving in 2 to 3 weeks because they're just not willing to come up to the standard,
right.
Which is okay. We're not made for everybody.
Right.
No. But that's just, that's just to be a company that I'm proud of and I want to be a part of.
Right.
People just, they have to be there.
And that culture is something that you've brought or has that something you've learned from the 3 generations, or is that stuff you've also learned from the coaching that you've gone through?
Yeah, I would say, a huge part of that is just looking out. And, I think the biggest thing young entrepreneurs are blessed with now is Instagram and these different social media platforms where you can now see what it's like, these huge companies. There's 2 guys that I really follow, is like Andy Frisella with First Form, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the standard and the stuff that they brag about with their company, with the standards that they have, and it's something that I want,
right.
And I'm like, wow, I want to mimic myself like them, and like Chris Cavallini with Nutrition Solutions, like both their cultures are people are just so committed to the success and the growth, and and year after year it shows that it just compounds your growth. So I just thought if I mimic myself and my company, like that right. Maybe I could have the same results, or similar.
Right. And why not, right? The opportunity is there, it's there, that platform is there, you can do it. And I think that's a very key thing from the standpoint of like years ago, like even for my generation, we didn't have those availability of the Andy Frisellas and the, all the others that are out, Dan Martell's and Alex Hormozy and all the others that are out there, and Ed Milet's, and then can keep going on and on and on. But now they're so readily available and their content is available for entrepreneurs that can grow.
And for free.
Right.
The best of that for free. I mean, there's so much, I can tell you what not to do as an entrepreneur is going to go buy those courses on Instagram on how you're going to make $1 million. It's to save your money. There's so much of this advice that these people give out for free that is everything you need to know.
So how much of that type of thing do you consume to help you in your business, and has it helped your business?
I would, in the beginning, I was one of those people invest in those courses, right, and waste my money on that kind of stuff. Now though, I used to be a big consumer of it, also just to go into different events and stuff and really pouring into it. But I think there's one thing to be said about picking one person and kind of following them. But don't become like a success zombie and like just chase after all these different success stories.
Right.
You got to have your own. So a lot of times now, like I'll just, like I said, put my horse blinders on and focus on what I need to get done instead of just listening to everybody else.
So was that because of the coach that you've hired, mentoring?
I think you can't listen to too many people. So like, if I have a conversation with them and, I'm not going to go listen to a podcast and get a different idea and then completely go, to another direction. So there's a lot to be said about just, especially when we're at a small company. So, we really we don't have as many resources. So we have to really narrow down and, well, this is what we're going to do and be the best at.
So there was a point in time in your business where you kind of, I don't say everybody takes a hit. We get into a lull. What got you out of that lull?
I mean, yeah, so we, I had a lot of success early on, which made my head go really big. We were doing, high into the seven figures when I was 20 years old, with some, contracts that we were blessed with. And then the next year that didn't come, and I was anticipating that, and the next year it didn't come, and, ended up not growing to the levels that I was going to be at. And definitely was a major impact. So kind of stuff to get me to call out of that is like that classic story of of a poor entrepreneur, right? It's to back against the wall. You have to go to every event. You got to network and take every opportunity on and sell.
Right.
I think ultimately what's always gotten me out of maybe that credit card bill or any sort of debt is sales. And I think first and foremost is being a great salesperson,
Right.
and being able to go out and develop relationships and be able to sell. So I'd say sales is what got me out of the rut. Right? Sales can fix a lot of things.
Right. Absolutely.
Just because your books are messed up, you can fix that, but you got no money going into the account. Yeah, that's gonna sink you the fastest.
That is very true. Very true. How often, going back to your coach, because you've talked about him a couple of times,
Yeah.
do you meet with them on a regular basis? What is it?
Yeah.
What are the things that you've learned from that?
Yeah. So what that looks like for One Green Filter is when they were on the coaching side, these guys are great. They went above and beyond for me, and I talked to them probably more than what's included in my package. But they help. Talk to them multiple times a week. Anything from marketing to recruiting to operations. We have one-on-ones weekly to go over maybe any struggles in the business with personnel,
Right.
or maybe some new marketing initiatives to take on. But the biggest thing is accountability. You only talk about the same thing over and over and over again unless it's moving forward or moving backwards.
Right.
It's going to come to light that maybe I didn't do my homework.
That's a tough one when you're like, because you're very exposed at that point.
Yeah. That's, I would say, biggest thing too about being a small business owner. Yeah, you're exposed. It's out there.
Right.
It's clear as day.
So taking a little leap on that, what is kind of one of the proudest things that you have done that doesn't show up on the balance sheet?
I would say the proudest thing. Well, it's just I don't ever tell people or tell anybody about it. And we're doing it, but it's probably helping maybe a team member on the company, something that maybe a big goal they have personally,
Mm-hmm.
and helping them achieve that. And whether it's maybe them investing into they're a new vehicle, or their family moving into a home, or something for they want to do, like take their family on vacation, but being able to be a part of that and help them make that their dream come true is definitely something I'm most proud of, and especially when it gets to be through a company that's helping people and making a difference.
So I became aware of a situation that I'm going to brag on you a little bit for a second. You and Phil Yost, there was a lady that got impacted by the hurricane, and you guys actually went in and redid her entire home.
Yeah, that without Phil Yost, that wouldn't have been possible. But he was fortunate. He asked me to help out with that lady's house, and fortunately, we're in the construction industry, so we were able to also get my family is, so we were able to really help her out. Denise was a really great lady. But that was funny enough though, that was some of the time that we were helping her was also probably financially the worst time for me too, where the company's hemorrhaging cash, and my line of credit's running up, and I'm borrowing money to make payroll. So to overextend myself and help her, and I also had another family I was helping them remodel their home as well. And just 3 months prior to that, my own personal home flooded, so I had that had the investment as well. But just pushed through it. I said I'd help, so I got both those projects done, and those families are back into their homes.
Beautiful.
And then just prayed on it. I'm a believer, and I knew God will get me through this stage where I was at in life, and now the business is profitable. Things are going great, so just got to push through.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I definitely wanted to quit a lot of the times, that's for sure.
So along those lines, you've taken One Green now over the last 9 years to a certain level. What does the next 5 years look like for you?
So the next 5 years for us, we're really trying to nail it before we scale it. We're trying to, right now work on the business a lot. So, we're still developing, our training center and our guys, and really trying to get the perfect process down. And then the goal is to expand to more corporate owned locations here in Florida, and then open up our product line and our knowledge and, the way we do things to nationwide.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ultimate goal is to take the brand and open up franchise opportunities so people can offer filtration, nationwide,
Right.
and hopefully one day worldwide.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
I want, it's one green filter. A big part of our logo is the world. So, I'm looking to spread the world. They need clean water everywhere.
That is very true. There's parts of the world that definitely need that.
Yeah.
When I look at kind of the business as a whole, what would be your mission as far as what do you want people to realize when they deal with One Green? How does that, what's that mission? What's that feeling that you want to leave with them?
That feeling I want to leave with them is that they're investing in a company that is going to give them and their family the best service, the best quality, where they can really trust that we stand behind, the products that we put in, and that they know that, that we make a difference in the community, that we do go out, for our partnerships with the Bullard Family Foundation, and we help give out, we were part of events that give out kids to, like the Joy of Giving with Titus O'Neill's event, give out 50,000 gifts, and then they do the back-to-back event, give out 50,000 backpacks. And so I know it's a company that what they spend stays local, and that it is good, help best for them, instead of just buying something on Amazon and who knows where it's coming from, and just know that they can really trust the brand.
And how does that affect you personally? How does that
for me personally, I mean, it makes it's everything, for me. Nothing, breaks my heart worse than I hear someone's, grandmother was taken advantage because they spent a crazy number on their water purification system, and they have a junkie system. So for me, it's everything. That's my burning passion. I just want to make sure everybody, gets great service and has, something that is really going to make a difference for the family.
As a business person that's been around for the last decade, and one that's continuing to grow your business and got many more years ahead of you, there's a younger person that's out there who's thinking about starting a business. What would you tell them?
I'll tell them to jump in, feet first. You can always build the parachute on the way down. When you're young, you can make mistakes and do as much as you can. I would say though, is to when people give you advice to definitely you write it down and because usually when older people are giving you advice, there's a reason for it. They've probably been in your similar situation, and whether it's right or wrong, you can at least get their perspective. So it's probably be really open to people's perspective. I think when I was young, it was like my way to the highway, or I got to know what he's talking about, and it's like, well, they did, and it would have saved you a lot of money and time if you would have listened to him. So it's definitely being more open to learning.
To me, it's always about learning, right? We never stop learning. When we stop learning, we stop growing. And so for us to continue our businesses, with this new world of AI and everything else, we're just constantly consuming more data and information just to keep ahead of that, because we know that it's going to be our future, so to speak. There's a tradition that a guy, Steve Bartlett, started, and he is basically, he ends with a question. And so the last interview that I had left you a question, and he didn't know who you are or what it was going to be. But his question is, when you feel down or even get knocked down, what motivates you to get up and fight again the next day? What motivates you to kind of keep that going?
That's a great question. I think the biggest thing is, his legacy. I feel like, so many people, especially if you're not, famous at all, it's like, when you pass away, it's kind of just over. People move on, they think about the next person, and I really want to build something that's rememberable, or really remember my name, and be able to build something so great that impacts so many people that just won't be forgotten. That's the biggest thing that keeps me going. Is like, well, I'm like, man, James, you got to give up. It's like, no, you can't, because what are you remembered for? Somebody that gave up and quit, and things were going rough, you just that all right, this is too hard for me,
Right.
and no one's gonna remember somebody like that, and they're just gonna remember as a quitter. So I would say legacy keeps me going. It's like you want to ultimately see yourself as something that's gonna be super ultimately successful, and what are you gonna be remembered as. So that's what keeps me going when I'm upset. Is like, all right, the bigger picture, that this is not where it ends. It's just kind of where it's beginning.
Well, that's great. I think it is what keeps us up, or gets us to fight another day.
Yeah.
It's what do we leave behind? What is our legacy?
Yeah, something bigger than yourself, right? Like, of course it's about you, but what the impact that you could have, and what people are gonna say about you when they're gone, that that they made such a big impact on their life, that their family was able to live better, and that they themselves were able to grow. I think when you can touch people like that, you have a really successful life.
Right. There's a thing that Ed Milet said a long time ago, which was that there's always going to be one person in the family, or one person that's there that will change the lineage, the history, the makeup of their family. So he wanted to be that one. And I guess maybe it sounds a little similar to what you're saying.
And I got big shoes to fill though. My dad definitely was a huge part of my life, and he definitely was the one who made that pivotal move for our family, and was able to really set the path. So I got big shoes to fill. Hopefully I can.
You can do it. I know you can do it. Turning that question into a question for you, so we're going to have another guest that's coming on. What question would you ask of the next entrepreneur, business owner, founder, not knowing who they are or what they are? What would?
So where you're gonna ask me that? I've been sitting here just trying to think about what I knew. I was thinking about what I was gonna ask. I'd say that the last question was about what gets you going when you're depressed. But I would ask like who is that? I would say for me too, like a big person that would keep me going when I was maybe not wanting to continue would be someone like Phil Yost. So I would ask like who is that person in your life that keeps you going? So who is that person?
Okay.
Yeah. For me, a big person was like that. It was Phil Yost of Compass Land Title.
Yeah.
He's definitely somebody who's such a positive role model in life, and such a great guy. So I would say, who is that person in someone's life? To piggyback all of that.
Maybe I should get Phil in here next, and then ask him that same question, and then you'll have to come up with who that was for him. So
yeah, I would ask him that.
Okay.
I would, or whoever you have next. But I think having big role models. I think role models in your life are huge. If you don't have any in your life, go out and find some.
Right.
Your friends that are getting drunk or getting high or something. Those aren't your role models. Go out and find people to aspire to be like.
Okay, great. So the next thing is, how does someone find out more about you, about One Green? Where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm super easy to find. You can find me at One Green Filter. www.onegreenfilter.com. You want me to come out to your home and test your water? All you gotta do is ask for me.
Okay.
We have a great team who come out to your house, but I'm still out in the field every day, and love bringing the new guys with me. And so have me out to your house, give your family better water. It's Father's Day this weekend. Nothing better than, they'll make it harder on dad pouring the salt in, have us come pour the salt in, so he doesn't have to maintain the softening.
There you go. But James, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. We appreciate you joining Built Here. And James, it's always a pleasure getting to connect with you and spend a little bit of time with you. So
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.